Hi guys, so this is our latest session of our inside sales training. Someone was having a chat with me earlier in the week, one of the startups I was talking to, and he was like, oh my God, why do you do this? But from a good place. And I think I do it because I want to demystify sales. So anybody that's interested could know that it's not as, especially if you have some assumptions there that are false, maybe it's not what you think. And maybe for people thinking about a career, this is something you feel you could do, then, just hearing more about it and what happens behind the scenes might make it easier for you when you see that sales role to apply. So let's go on to today's topic. Today's topic, I really want to talk about the sales process. So this is really what happens behind the scenes. This is what the salesperson is doing on average in a normal days. One of these stages his pipelining will be. So let's talk about the entire sales process for a B2B business. So when you're all about selling to businesses, other businesses, not consumers. Now, most times the first stage is to identify your quality leads, sales quality lead, SQL as we talk about it. Most times it's research. You have to do lots of research because you're looking at demographics, maybe their marketing or their spend or budget in things like that. You're looking at their vertical, if you're interested in retail, pharmaceutical, all that kind of stuff. But these days it's so easy because salespeople normally would have inside tools within the organizations or tools where you can go and pull this information, or databases you can pull it. And once you've got those quality leads, the next thing will be to engage. You engage, and you probably would have segmented it. I would normally prioritize it. I will go for the top spenders. I would like to prioritize based on revenue, potential budget, or revenue, or funds raised by the company, whatever, to give it some kind of priority. Now, engaging, like we said, is inside sales. So you're either mailing them, phoning them, reaching out to them on LinkedIn. I'm going to recommend LinkedIn Navigator here. I got my team severally to use it, and it's so cool. Like, people don't tend to respond immediately, but there's a bit of credibility because they can check out the person that is reaching out to them and even check out their profile and respond apart from just cold call emails. So LinkedIn Navigator is another one. Once you've engaged, now that engage, it doesn't mean the first time you send the email, you get the response. It could be you send the email, it's not the right person, you ask for a referral to the right person. You could go a couple of emails to get to the right person. Then it's time to qualify those leads. And based on whatever internal engagements you have, what are you guys looking for? Are you qualifying based on, do they have a potential budget? Is there a need? Is there a value you guys can create for them? Is there an urgency for the product? Maybe you're looking for people that want to spend in this quarter. Now, this whole process I just mentioned, from identify the quality leads, engaging, having that, probably after identifying them, qualifying it to determine if, this is going to work out or this is not going to work out, this is a potential client, will normally be done by the BDRs and the SDRs. So earlier video, if you know what I'm talking about, sales development reps and business development reps, that is their job, to prospect and create this pipeline. Now, once they have been able to qualify it and determine, yes, this is good to go, we can actually go ahead with this opportunity, they would usually hand them over. Now, based on the company internally, it works differently. They would hand it over to an account executive or to an account manager, because they are the ones to normally close the deals and move it to the next stage. Now, once that handover is done in different ways. In some companies I've seen is a tool. You go to the CRM tool with an indicator, means that it's now with the account executives. For others, maybe there's a weekly meeting where they run through that pipeline and tell you the potential and the meetings and the outcome and why they think it's a strong lead for you to pursue. Now, whatever it is, the important thing that there's some handover, and it's always good to have the handover. That's where tension comes in internally. So once those opportunities are handed over, the account executive now takes over. And most times they will start with what we call a discovery call. And just like the name says, they're just trying to discover, they're trying to unlock the company structure, who are the stakeholders, the budget, is there an urgency to spend now, clarity on where the gaps are, do they have existing solution, are they using solution from competition? And basically is in the questions they ask. And when you have that intro call, can you tell me a bit about your business, how you guys structure, do you guys use any of these solutions to address it? They're asking those questions, they're listening. Active listening is important here, trying to figure out, if this lead that they're going for, what solutions will be required for them. Normally, it will take more than one discovery call. There could be further discovery calls. I don't think you can close all those things in one call. So you could have it and go back and say, hey, let me come back with you some answers to some of your questions, and then we could further engage. So you're looking at budget, timelines, urgency, structure, pros and cons, all that, and it will help you for the next stage when it's time to demo. So in case you have different products or solutions, you can then identify the best one to demo to the client. And most times when you demo, as I said, it's also not just one step. You could demo and say, hey, maybe you should show this to the procurement team, or maybe we'd like you to show it to the technical team member. So that demoing happens. And most times between these further discovery calls and the demo, there's a lot of objection handling the salesperson is going to go through. So what I mean is, like, your clients don't want to say yes to everything. They're going to ask questions. They're going to query. They're going to tell you, we don't want this. We don't like this. It's not fitted for us. Why should we do this? Now the onus is on you to respond to some of those things. Once you go through that, we could, based on the company, it could take from 1 call to 10 calls. You know, you normally would follow up a demo with maybe to proper validate. Sometimes you will need to put in more use cases or present use cases of others that have used your product. Sometimes you get a customer reference, or sometimes you get another partner, like a solution partner internally, to come and answer all the technical questions. If they want to understand, how would you integrate to this? Do you have the API for this? You know, they're asking you questions that are a bit more technical, that you might need a solution partner internally to come. It also validates when they see an expert in the room and something. So you would do that. Sometimes you could even buddy up with someone, but the client loves to see the fact that the organization is probably more than one person, and there are all kinds of people to provide solution. Based on how this goes, you normally will go into the price negotiation and the contract stage. And sometimes for some of clients, it moves to another team. Maybe you have to be talking to procurement now. But that's when you put in your proposal, you put in what the price is, you put in what the contract will look like. They negotiate. They could sometimes get their legal team involved. They want to change this term. They don't want to change this term. They want to sign an NDA first. All that starts to happen. And normally after that, if it goes well, it could take from a couple of days to a couple of weeks to a couple of months. You could end up in implementation, and that means your solution is sold, ready, delivered, contract signed. And mostly for some organization, it moves from the account executive at this stage, when the solution is implemented, to a customer success manager that now manages the lifetime of the contract, engage in building relationship. Sometimes it will be an account manager that all they're doing now is managing a business where the deal is already closed. If the client has support issues, the client has clarification, whatever thing the client has, it will reach out to them. Now, I've made it look so simplistic, but there could be iterations for any of this step. Long video here, but I'm hoping to somebody out there this could make sense, and this could probably encourage you to take that step. Have a great Tuesday.